When you talk about insurance vis-a-vis the GDP of the continent, it stands at 3%. And this is way below the global average of 7%. What is not happening across the continent? Quite some concerns right there. And can we innovate around this? Well, right now I'm joined by Elias Omondi, who's the Senior Manager, Risk Regulations at FSD Kenya. Elias, welcome. I mean, starting off, quite a huge disparity between matters insurance impact in the economy globally vis-a-vis what is happening in Africa. Look at that figure, 7%, 3%. Why this disparity? What is different about Africa on matters insurance?
Right. Thank you very much for this particular time. And it's great to discuss issues how we could protect ourselves against risk, because each and every morning when you wake up, the first thing that you face is risk. So insurance really plays a critical role, particularly in the ecosystem. And it is a very important facet that we really require businesses and people to be insured. But you've kind of provided good numbers that Africa currently is at 3% compared to what we'll say the global average of 7%. Now, if you even zero down to Kenya, our insurance penetration level as a percentage of gross domestic product, the GDP, sits at around 2.34%. That even means that it's lower from what we term as an African average. Mm-hmm. So we are basically facing what I would say a very tremendous task, really, to ensure that we get our people covered, we get our business covered, because without that level of protection, then we have a very huge protection gap, particularly in a country like Kenya. Now, you did mention that I work for an organization called FSD Africa, and what FSD Africa does is basically we look at reducing poverty, and when I talk about that, within the financial systems, and our work is predominantly working with financial markets. And what we do is how then we catalyze risk markets so that more people are well insured. At the same time, business are protected, because without really providing that particular value of providing protection, then ideally you tend to push people much to poverty. So it's really a critical factor.
I know, Elias,
insurance.
And that is quite critical to note. The issue is that, first of all, the mental state of a normal Kenyan. I mean, is insurance on top of our mind compared to other jurisdictions? Is it an information gap? Why is there this low uptake, this barrier to getting covers?
There are various factors that basically we could name when it comes to the level of insurance appreciation in Kenya and also in Africa. So the first level, or the first issue that it's important to mention, is that the level of literacy, basically understanding the value insurance, is low. Our people do not understand, particularly the products that are there. They don't understand the value of insurance, and that means that there's a lot of work that needs to be done, particularly on creating literacy around what insurance does. The second component is relevance of these particular products. Yeah, you'll get that, yes, people have needs, but are these particular insurance products meeting the needs of these particular persons or businesses? The other component is access. Yeah, so you get that for people to easily access insurance products, the access is not there. We need to provide a platform for people to be able to reach out and basically purchase this particular product. So there are a number of factors that plays across the value chain. And maybe most critical is affordability. Our products affordable. Are citizens able to purchase this particular product? So we need to work around enabling, creating an environment that will provide access to insurance products, will provide knowledge for people to understand what insurance really enables them to get, At the same time, issues around affordability. We need to make these particular products cheaper and relevant to their needs.
Definitely. And before I come to what you are doing through innovation to, offer solution to this, look at this imbalance that we're seeing across the continent of Africa within this ecosystem of low insurance penetration. So our gross written premiums as a continent, $68 billion. 91% of the premiums are concentrated in 10 countries, and 70% of Africa's premiums are down in South Africa. What is South Africa doing different from the rest of us?
Yeah, South Africa, I usually term it as basically a country that has just gone beyond what ideally we term as the normal level that an African country would operate. In fact, the South African numbers in terms of the GDP is around 14%, which sits as the highest country in the world. South Africa is even above Western and European countries. Now, what have they done differently? And that's a question that you brought out. So, if you look at the way the South African ecosystem has been developed, and that is where I'll kind of communicate on a little bit later, but the South African ecosystem, particularly the insurance ecosystem, is well appreciative in terms of it looks at the entire value chain. So for instance, you'll get that for those particular persons that are at the lowest of the pyramid, have some form of access to insurance products. Okay. So for instance, as easy as basically getting an insurance product that helps you at the last expense. Okay. Compare that to Kenya, we always have these harambes whenever somebody passes on. That is totally different in South Africa. Each and every person has a funeral or a last expense cover that takes care of him or her, okay, or basically protects the family in case a loved one passes on.
So the whole value chain.
That's the difference. That some of the risks that could be covered through insurance, there are other traditional mechanisms that we apply in Kenya. And that's why you'll get that South Africa sits at 14%. Okay. 70% of premiums written in entire Africa comes from South Africa. That's quite a tremendous value.
Definitely.
And what we need to do is that how then do we even ensure Kenya gets there?
Yeah, definitely. That's a huge question. But I know one of the ways that we can get there, and our time is running out, is through innovation. So coming up with Bima Lab InsurTech Accelerator Program, just briefly touch on that and the impact you've seen investing in InsurTech is having towards the insurance sector in Africa as we finish.
Yeah, so one of the things that have been cited is that insurance industry has been slow to embrace innovation. And that was cited in a report in 2019 that the insurance sector has been quite slow to appreciate innovation. Now, as FSD Africa, together with the Insurance Regulatory Authority, we came up with a program that will catalyze appreciation of innovation within the insurance industry. And what Bima Lab entails is we created a platform that will bring different actors, bring in innovators with a purpose of enabling them to scale their solutions. And what we've seen over the last couple of months, whereby we've been running a program for the last 3 months, and this particular program brought in innovators that are highly focused on creating products that are going to create a change within the insurance industry. And what we do is just, we want to mentor them, we want to provide them with resources, with an intention of creating products that will be ready to go to the market and create that particular change. So we've seen that there is a potential, and this potential has to be harnessed. Okay. And what we do as FSD is to harness this potential through the Bima Lab program, with partners such as the insurance regulator, to ensure that we are bringing up innovators that are going to close the protection gap. As we've said earlier, we have a huge protection gap. Africa is highly vulnerable. Kenya is vulnerable to various risks, and the only way that we can do to protect these people from falling even further under poverty lines is providing them with the relevant products.
Definitely.
Innovation will enable them, will give them access.
Yes.
Innovation will enable them get these particular products cheaper, quicker, and even ensure that they get the right interactions within the market. So
very critical indeed.
Yeah, so one of the last things that maybe I want to say is that we are having a demo day on 19th of November, whereby we are going to bring all these innovators that we've been training, mentoring for the last 3 months, for them to showcase their innovations towards achieving the purpose of reducing the protection gap.
Definitely, very important. I'm glad we are investing in innovation to solve problems that the continent is going through. Insurance is just one of the avenues that we can utilize technology and innovation to solve, but that cuts across even to matters hunger that we've been reading stories earlier on. Well, Elias Omondi, Senior Manager, Risk Regulations, FSD Africa, thank you very much for your input. With that said, Business Today takes a short break. We'll return with more, including women in business cruising in a Benz. Stay tuned.